Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we have a knife review, and this one is a big one. This is the Lansky Responder X9. Lansky Responder X9. It is a huge folder. This is the biggest folder I have in my collection. Wow, what can I say? I'm going to read over some stats and give you the lowdown on this bad boy. So, take a look. The overall length of the knife is 9 inches. The blade length is 3.75 inches. The handle length is 5 inches. And the overall weight on this big guy is 8.61 ounces. That being said, we'll take a look at it. Boom. Boom. Big bad, but looks so cool. All right, so we'll start with the blade. The blade is probably the thing that attracted me the most to this knife right off the bat. It's super attractive, has really cool shape and lines to it. So as you can see, it kind of has a, I don't even know what to call this shape. It's almost like a drop point because it kind of just drops down, or a reverse tanto, but then it also seems kind of like a clip point. It's just a bizarre, or even like a Warncliffe sheep's foot, modified sheep's foot, something or other like that. It's pretty unique. It has a top swedge right here, just to give it some style. It has a finger hole for deploying it with the thumb, as well as a flipper, which is crazy for such a big knife, but it flips out really well. The coolest thing that I like about the blade itself is the two-tone. We have a satin finish up top here on the base of the blade, and then at the bottom where it tapers down to sharpen, we have a stone wash, which looks really cool. So that in itself, the two-tone of the blade, gives it a really good look to it. It is a hollow grind, and it's wickedly sharp when I got it. So just awesome. So super cool. Yeah, the other thing is it has 2 pins here. They're stop pins, designated stop pins only. And it has a very large choil up front here, right beyond the flipper guard. You can, if you feel brave enough, do that, but I don't recommend it. It's just really not big enough for that. But either way, it should make it fairly easy to sharpen. And the blade is pretty thick too, so this is definitely a robust, solid knife. Moving into the handle is very stylized as well. It has the divoted pivot pin with the 5 divots around there. Looks really cool. We have a couple different sets of hardware as well. We have a flat screw hardware here, bolting on this other piece of G10. They're both G10. This has a larger kind of fabric pattern, a little bit smaller. You see the insignia of the designer H there, I believe. Yeah, it's supposed to be a W, I guess. And that's for Willumsen Urban Tactical. He's the designer. Back to the blade, I guess. You can see his logo here, designed by Willumsen Urban Tactical. So it is like an urban tactical survival knife or responder knife. Then on the back side, you have the Lansky sharpeners. This is made by Lansky brand sharpeners. They make some great sharpening stones. The puck is excellent for axes and other tools. And then as well, you can see it's a Sandvik steel. So the steel is 12C27. And yeah, so now moving into the handle, you have 2 designated finger choils here that are just awesome, and then the rest of your fingers will fit into this other part of the handle. So the ergos are pretty good. Because it's such a beefy knife, you have this thick handle here, and it really fills up the hand really well. Moving into the butt of the knife, you have the other, it looks like a pivot, I guess. But it's a screw pivot there, probably holding on this green G10. And then you have a glass breaker style pommel with a lanyard hole, a stainless steel jimped back spacer, which, you know, adds some traction, but if you do reverse grip, you can definitely add some grip right there. Just a big knife, oh my gosh. Then when we're moving up, there is some jimping into the actual frame of the knife, as well as a little bit on the spine of the blade. But it works really well. It goes up as like a thumb ramp, and your hand is just locked in there with the finger guard and then the jimping. It's just awesome. The other thing with the blade of the knife is it has a sharpened 90-degree spine, so this will throw sparks really well. And then on the back side, it's just a plain black G10, and we have the very simple fold over deep carry pocket clip. It's a little narrow, and it's hard sometimes to pull it in, get the fabric underneath this. But, you know, for such a big knife to have such a simple pocket clip, it can work. And it's only on the back side that you have a reversible tip up, tip down, right hand carry only. As far as action, it flips really well for such a big knife. It's, I believe, just nylon washers in there, but the size and weight make it flip out smoothly. And now the most impressive part, and yes, the liners aren't milled out or drilled out, so they could potentially decrease the weight of this slightly, both if they change the spacer to a, you know, lighter material, or if they drilled out the liners. But that being said, you get a lot of knife for the price. Now, I haven't mentioned the price on this yet, but I got this for under $35. I would say, as a bold blanket statement, that most places should retail this knife under $40, if not under $50. So for a 3.75 inches, almost 4-inch blade with a good Sandvik steel, to get a knife for under $50 like this is ridiculous. And it's just a beast. So if you're one of those guys with large hands and like large, big folders, this would be a good one. Or if you're one of those guys that needs just a bad, you know, bad looking, mean looking urban survival folder, this would be an excellent choice as well. That being said, let's compare it to some other knives. First up, we have the Rat 1. So now, this is the biggest knife in my collection right now, so I had to find, I'm putting in the biggest knives I have so far. This is the Kershaw Dash. We'll try to line them up. And as you can see in this video, I have a slightly different cutting board color and whatnot. So we'll see how this works. I'll be adjusting lighting and stuff. We have the H&K Access. And then we have my personal favorite, the Bird Raven 2. Just awesome. Alright, so as you can see, they're all lined up there. Blade length wise, the top of the handle, it's definitely the longest, just ever so slightly pushing out the Rat and the H&K Access. Oh wait, I forgot to push this one up. Yep, so definitely longer, just under 4 inches, super big. Handle wise, it is also the longest handle, which kind of makes sense because it also has the longest blade. So then bringing it back to one of my favorite things is the blade thickness. Definitely thicker than the Kershaw Dash. This is a great knife, by the way. Definitely thicker than the Rat 1. looks close to the same as the H&K Access, but I still think it's thicker. And then about the same as the Raven 2. But weight-wise, this is far better weight. So there you go. Pretty sweet. We only have one last test, and that is the ugly brown glove test. I misplaced my ugly brown glove, so I had to get a different one. This is like a black brown. I don't even know what to call it. Hopefully I can find my old glove, but it's more or less a bulky, clumsy cloth glove. So grip-wise right now, the G10 is sufficient. Deployment with the flipper is easy. My thumb doesn't really lock into the jimping with the cloth glove, but the finger guard definitely helps lock it in, even if that is slick. Feels really good. I have a lot to grab onto. I can get like a full grip just because of the girth of the handle, and closing it is easy enough one-handed. The liner lock is easy. Deploying it with the thumb hole, it's a little bit challenging. These gloves are pretty clumsy, but it's doable. So does it pass? Yes, it does. I'll give it a 80% on the ugly brown or the ugly glove test. So there you go. So now you know, people. That's the knife. Check it out. It's super huge. Like I was saying, if you just want a sweet looking apocalyptic survival knife folder, this is the Lansky Sharpener's Responder X9. There is one size down. I don't know the name of it. I'm sure it's just the Lansky Responder. That's basically, it's the exact same design, just a little bit smaller. So if this is too intimidating or too big to handle, they do have a smaller version of it. So check it out. Other than that, you should check out the eye in the upper right hand corner. Like, subscribe, and comment. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys outside.